Malk has got an incredible way of simplifying things, and he's got an incredible way of communicating how to simplify things. And as a squash player and as a junior player, professional player, amateur player, or whatever you are, squash is a game that can be easily complicated. And to have someone who can simplify everything and bring everything back to the sort of bare basics of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and what you need to do to be able to achieve that is an incredible skill.
Well, I was obviously very young, came through his system, and what was interesting with Malk is that he wouldn't tell you necessarily how to do something, be that specific. He'd give you a framework. So the communication would be some words that he'd throw down, like balance or smooth or take it in. You know, something that would remind you to do something, but then you find your way. So for example, yeah, taking that one, take it in. So he's sat above the court, you've got his courts going, he's got his practices and his condition games, and he's kind of set the parameters for you to find your own way, really.
He allows, through his often group sessions, well, almost always group sessions, it's, you know, he doesn't do one-to-one coaching. He stands back, will let them work out in groups. And I think what happens is he allows them to, sets them up into practices, obviously very cleverly in terms of what they are capable of doing, but he gets them very quickly working in groups, working together in a sociable atmosphere. They have to control the practices themselves, or control the games or the condition games, and he just kind of, what I think Malcolm does, he just lets people work it out a little bit. He will talk from his perch up above court 2 and 1 at Pontefract. He will often shout quite generic, not shout, but, well, yeah, he can shout, but he talks generic sort of instructions. So it might be things like, you know, move feet, or take it lower, or delay the shot, things like that, so that they're quite generic. He doesn't come onto the court and speak for 20 minutes about how to hold the grip. Somehow he just lets them work it out, and they've got this technique. It just there, because not through sort of him going on there and dissecting things. It just works itself out. He
wants you to feel it, because if you feel it, then that often provides a deeper learning experience, and then if you can feel it, you know that you can repeat it. So if someone tells you to do something and you don't really understand it, but they just keep repeating, you know, rack it up, but if you think your racket's up, but it's not, you know, you're not really going to feel it. So it just wants you to feel it. It wants you to get the understanding of it, so that you can then go and repeat it.
I don't know. It's like talking, isn't it? It's like little kids when they talk. They're not taught to talk. You know, we're not sort of analysing language to young 3-year-olds. They just find a way. And his players, he gets them on court, and they repeat, and he says drop drive, down the walls, whatever his stuff is, and then suddenly they'll get it. And I think, in my experience, and I've started doing more coaching now, I've learned that I try and get kids as early as I possibly can, which is all from Malcolm. Get them doing drop drive. Instead of me as a coach, sit there, feed. I get them to try and work in a pair. And I'm realising this is what Malk's doing all the time, and he doesn't even know it. I don't know it, none of us know it, but this is what he's been doing. He sort of gets them to find a way to do that drop drive routine. So one's dropping and one's driving, one's dropping, one's driving. At first it doesn't work. And it's like, you know, I've had other coaches say to me, well, it's not working. Okay, but it will do if you just let them work it out.
I think that is why Malk has sort of achieved so much in terms of from getting kids on court to be able to hit a squash ball, to coaching and taking someone like myself and James from being, you know, this high through to the world's #1 player. And I mean, that's a remarkable achievement. And for me, as the player that I was, that is the biggest thing that I could say about Malk, is that he's got a very, very clear direction. He's got a very clear idea of how the game should be played, and he's got an incredible way of simplifying his communication to be able to get that across. And you know, that's what I needed, and And I needed that as a 7-year-old, and I needed that as a 31-year-old coming towards the end of my career.